To everyone watching at home, thanks so much for spending time with us on What's New.
Everybody, thanks again. All right, let's talk about this next story because this is actually a little heartbreaking. Just weeks before Christmas, a local Toys for Tots program is working overtime now to collect donations after thousands of dollars of toys were destroyed in a warehouse fire. It happened in Sherrodsville in Carroll County. Manny Abraham brings us a story of how a community is coming together to make sure kids and families receive gifts in time for the holidays.
Everything's hard to make out. There's not much left.
Robert Stratton only had a few words to describe just how he felt when he saw the fire just a few feet from his home.
I was just sick, really.
This was Stratton's garage where he worked on cars, but it was also his warehouse.
Yeah, the toys were right there.
On this level.
Yeah.
Inside, he says there were around $8,000 worth of toys. All were donations collected for the Toys for Tots program that would help families and kids in Tuscarawas County. Stratton helps run the local collection site.
A lot of them kids, that's the only toy they get.
On Tuesday morning, a new shipment from Toys for Tots arrived.
Yeah, this was supposed to come yesterday. And if it would have come yesterday, it would have all been gone. Because it would have been in the warehouse out there.
Stratton was met with dozens of friends and community members, all coming out to Calvary United Methodist Church to help Stratton store and organize the donations.
We're replacing the toys as fast as we can.
Local businesses and neighbors have set up their own collection sites to help out.
We give out to 3,000 kids, so it takes a lot.
Stratton, a former Marine, says this mission is close to his heart.
Marines never quit.
Stratton isn't sure what happened, and investigators are still looking into what caused the fire. For now, he's surrounded by the support of a community. And despite what happened, they're still on their way to bring smiles to thousands of kids this holiday season. I'm Manny Abraham, 3 News.
Such a beautiful story, certainly. You can help to donate. We have all the information at WKYC.com. And even if you aren't able to help the Sherrodsville group there with Toys for Tots, there's Toys for Tots throughout Northeast Ohio. And, you know, your donations are very, very welcome.
Yeah, absolutely. And we talk about this from time to time. If you're not in a position where you can either give money or toys or whatever, contact the organization itself, because so oftentimes they need manpower.
Sure.
They need folks to come in and help with accepting of toys and organizing things. So even if you're not in a situation where you can monetarily give of your time if you can.
It's a good thing.
Very important this time of year. All right, now on our feed at 5, more than 100 fire chiefs, marshals, inspectors, and other fire personnel gathered today to hear the story of 2 men whose lives were changed as college freshmen. Isabel Lawrence tells us these men are sharing their emotional story of survival and what they want those firefighters and actually you to know, so you never have to experience what they did.
January 19th, 2000.
But this night changed our lives forever, and I remember this night like it was yesterday.
A freshman dorm building at Seton Hall University in New Jersey.
At 4:30 in the morning, the alarms are going off.
For roommates Sean Simons and Alvaro Llanos from New Jersey, hearing fire alarms in the dorm was nothing new.
Because there had been a number of false alarms leading up to that point, we just thought it was another false alarm.
But that night was the real thing.
And we didn't inspect the darkness that was waiting for us behind those doors.
The hallway was filling with smoke. They didn't have a fire safety plan, so they left the building the same way they always did, instead of using the closest exit.
We decided to crawl out the building, not knowing that we were actually crawling right into the pit of the fire.
They survived. 3 students did not. The road to recovery was a long one.
Especially being burned 60% of my body. I was in a coma for 3 months and had over 30 surgeries during that process.
Simons was in a coma for 2 weeks and was in the hospital for over a month. Despite the pain of that night, they're sharing their story to keep others safe.
Talk about knowing where your nearest exit is, you know, just pay attention to those things. Those are the little things in life that could be the difference between life and death.
Llanos said at that age they didn't have the fire safety information and guidance to know how to be prepared, but they won't let that happen to others.
They inspired us to live, and now we're living to inspire.
Really moving story there, but those two now travel all over the country giving these fire preparedness speeches to different groups, including firefighters, especially students. And today they were with the Northeastern Ohio Fire Prevention Association, who brought them in as speakers to make sure that they were conveying that message to their team, especially during the holidays, just to make sure you have that fire safety plan in place.
Man, I put myself back as a freshman at Bowling Green when the fire alarms were going off
all the time. Popcorn,
the time, and you
burning
really get
popcorn,
and you get deconditioned by it.
Yep.
And at 18 years old, you're not always thinking about an escape plan. A lot of students, of course, will be coming home from college for the winter break.
Yeah.
What conversation should parents be having with their kids to make sure that they take this seriously?
Yeah, that's a great question. And they do encourage all families to get around that dinner table and have that conversation. So the Northeastern Ohio Fire Prevention Association says now is a great opportunity to make sure you're asking those questions of your kids. Asking, you know, are there sprinklers? Do you know where the exits are in your dorm? Do you know how to get to them? And are you practicing that fire preparedness plan in case you need to exit that building quickly? So ask those questions. And then also another component of the holidays, right? A lot of us are traveling. So we're staying in a hotel, we're staying in an aunt's house or a family member's house. We don't necessarily know where exactly we are. So make sure you're familiar with your surroundings, find those exits, and have that plan just in case you need to use it.
Yeah, we are talking about, you know, older kids in dorms and whatnot,
Right.
but keep in mind, it's your own home. If you have littler kids, it's great to do a fire drill. They do them at school.
Sure.
Do one at home. It's amazing, and the kids are very empowered when it comes to that. They think this is a really cool thing, so
Absolutely,
do
yeah.
it up. All right, thanks so much, Isabel. Good
Great
information
advice.
there, yeah. This next story is a little disturbing, everybody. We have new video of a police chase that happened over the weekend on I-77 where officers were chasing a stolen Ford Explorer. The car reached speeds of 105 miles per hour before the driver lost control and crashed through a guardrail. The car immediately then burst into flames. Two 17-year-old boys died on the scene. Police today discussed the mental health toll incidents like this have on first responders.
The officers have to keep this in the back of their mind when this is happening. You know, they get to go home to their families, but someone else doesn't, you know, and this was a conscientious choice to run from law enforcement, you know, and unfortunately it had really, really bad consequences.
Two guns were also recovered inside the car. The Ohio State Highway Patrol is responsible for handling the crash investigation.
Well, today crews readjusted the Cleveland Guardians marquee sign at the corner of Carnegie and Ontario. Brilliant Electric Sign Company realigned the sign this morning. This comes weeks after they started removing Indian signage to reflect the new team name. The team, of course, officially switched names on November 19th.
Now, that was the one specifically that was right there on kind of the marquee that everybody thought it was a little off center because of the swoosh that went out past the S. So they lined it up a little bit differently.
They moved it over, and now it looks centered. I don't know. So I'm this guy, all right? If I walk in someone's home and I start looking at pictures and there's one a little off tilt, I literally, if they're not looking, I'll straighten it up.
Considering you're coming to my house this weekend, this is going to be very interesting.
That's why I say that. I'll be there Saturday. So, like, before I get there,
we'll do the sweep.
Go around and make sure your picture. And I don't know. I hate that. I guess it's OCD. So here's what I do. I go to the hardware store, and you know that little orange tick stuff, that little sticky stuff? I literally go around every photo in my house and I put them on the left and right bottom corners, and then I get my little compass app on my phone and I hold it on the side of the photo and I make sure it's 0 degrees. I'm really noisy about that stuff. And when I saw that Guardian sign, Betsy, I was like, oh, I'm going to have to take a new way into work. I can't drive by that every day. It'll drive me nuts.
So there's a little part of me that's like, oh no, Jay's coming to my house. And then there's the other part that's like, I'm going to go through my house and I'm going to turn everything on its side just a little bit, off kilter.
I probably won't be able to stay that long if you do that.
You're going to come in and go into spasms or something. It's going to be so fun. This is awesome. All right.
I am looking forward to coming over to your home now.
I can't wait.
I'll leave my level app in the car.
We have a level. I'll let you go around and level everything for me. That'll keep it busy, right?
I never should have told you that.
All right, we're calling all whiskey lovers. How much money would you spend on a shot? Yep, a single shot of whiskey. Well, Gormley's Pub in Rocky River is holding a tasting tonight of Middleton Whiskey, which set the bar back at $45,000 for that bottle right there, 45 grand. Now, the taste testers had to pay about $2,400 for one shot. Only 70 bottles were produced of the 46-year-old whiskey. All of them, except that one right there, are in private collections. So this is a really big deal. And it's a very obviously limited pour. One bottle.
That's it.
20 pours.
Yeah, I'm not a whiskey guy. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll drink a shot if everybody around is doing a shot. I'm that guy. I don't have a favorite. But boy, you really would have to love your whiskey to drop down that kind of coin for a sip.
And there are people that do. See, to me, it just tastes like fire.
Me too. I mean, wow.
You're taking it like, wow.
So, if I have to pay $10 for it,
yeah.
Okay, but I'm
wow,
not
10. You're high dollar. You're top shelf kind of guy.
I mean, if whatever everyone's drinking,
right.
but not that one. I am excited. I'm going out to the pub tonight.
Are you?
And I will be there. We'll be doing a live shot at 7 o'clock for Front Row. Mm-hmm. And I'm going because I want to know what possesses a person to spend that kind of cash for one shot.
What does fire taste like?
Yeah, why would you spend $2,400 for a drink of fire?
I'm a lip taster. Like, you just dip your lip in it. Good enough, that's all.
So I will be there. I won't be partaking, but I'll be talking to the folks that are.
And it is for a good cause. Malachi
it is, that's
House
right.
is
They're
a
raising
beneficiary of this wonderful thing they did with a raffle. All right, still to come on What's New in our Tech Tuesday report, an outage that affected millions today. Plus, parents, a way to track your kids on Instagram.
Uh-oh. Mm-hmm. Plus, comedian Rebel Wilson has done a remarkable job on her weight loss journey. We're going to tell you why everyone on her team was not exactly on board when she started this journey. That's coming up in Pop Break.
And just in case you haven't left your house today, I will tell you it is frigid outside. It just feels cold. Typically, the first time we have highs in the 20s, which is today, that's when we're really kind of like, oh, it's so cold. By January, February, March, we're going to think this is nothing, just the way it is. Cloudy skies, temps in the 20s through the evening. We have a nice warming trend coming in the next several days. I'm going to tell you all about it in the forecast. Oh, if I only had a good level. Okay, in today's Tech Tuesday report, we're talking about your privacy, tracking what your kids are doing online, and an outage that impacted a lot of different services.
Yeah, let's start with that. The Amazon Web Services suffered a major outage today. It provides computing services for many governments, universities, and companies, including here in Cuyahoga County. DCFS, Hotline, Child Support, Board of Elections, and a few other phone lines were down because of this Amazon outage. The company released a statement saying it had identified what the problem was and they were working to fix it. The issue primarily affected its services in the eastern United States. The company did not give an ETA on when everything will be back to normal.
Everything's perfect when it's working, and then all of a sudden,
then it's not.
Backup plan. All right, Instagram is set to roll out its first set of parental controls for kids coming up in March. Parents will be able to see how long their teens have spent using Instagram and limit the amount of time that they spend on the app. This comes as the head of the app, Adam Mosseri, prepares to speak before a Senate committee tomorrow. They're expected to ask questions to him about whether social media harms kids and teens. I think that's going to be interesting, especially if you have not had a discussion with your kids and you just place those parental things on there and all of a sudden that baby locks up.
Yeah, why can't I get in my Instagram, Mom?
Yeah.
I think this is the cynic in me. Why so long? Why is it just now happening? You don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure that out. There's no way that CEO wants to sit down in front of those that committee tomorrow and not have answers as to what they're doing to protect teens. Because remember, this all started with the whistleblower who came out and said the company knows they're harming teens and they're knowingly continuing to do things that are harming teens. So now tomorrow, the company will be able to sit in front of the committee and say, oh, no, we have these parental things in place now.
We're getting everything lined up.
Yeah, should have happened a long time ago. All right. There is a report out that Verizon is actually tracking iPhone users. Several reports state that Verizon has been sending emails to customers about its new custom experience programs. That service actually tracks your location, the phone numbers that you called, and more. The company is automatically enrolling customers, so we're going to give a public service and show you how you can opt out. You have to go into the My Verizon app. For all those Verizon users, you're familiar with it. Click the little settings button that's on the top right-hand corner of the app. Scroll down to where it says Manage Privacy Settings and just select the line that you'd like to manage. Then turn off Custom Experience and Custom Experience Plus. It's that simple. And we've talked about this a million times, Bets. And I believe that it should automatically default you out of those kinds of tracking and in data gathering and collecting information. Instead, because there's no government apparatus that keeps them from doing that, they automatically just put us into those tracking and data collection programs.
Data is big money.
That's what they're doing.
Big money.
They're mining our data and making money from it.
Analytics are everything.
Sure.
Insights are everything. And if they can sneak it in and you don't realize that you've opted in, you didn't think you had a choice, they still own that data.
I imagine some people are okay with it.
Yeah.
I don't think I am, and I have nothing to hide, but I just don't know that I want all of that stuff being sold without my knowledge.
Yeah, there's a lot of uses for various things, and it's interesting if you've ever sat around and chatted about something, and all of a sudden you get a little ad on your phone. You're like,
oh. Listen, are they listening to me? We drove by Richfield Coliseum Sunday.
I'm going to walk to Weather while he's telling the story.
Okay, and I'll continue. And my wife said, oh, where exactly did the Coliseum used to be? So she zoomed in on her Waze app.
303 and 271.
Yes, and she got a notification within a few hours asking her if she wanted to join a Richfield Coliseum Facebook page group. And she's like, were they listening to us or did they just know that I zoomed in on my Waze app?
Well, there's probably both there.
That's spooky though.
Yeah. Good old Richfield Coliseum.
I know.
Now.
Yeah.
Wow. I went to the circus at that Coliseum back in the day. All right. Here's 3 things to know. Temperatures are back above freezing tomorrow. Yes. We have a big climb as far as the mercury goes coming up as we go through Friday and especially into Saturday. Then we're going to flip the switch, but in lieu or in right before we flip that switch back to the colder air, rain could be a bit of a problem that's coming into the forecast. So here's a look at current temperatures, everybody. We are sitting in the 20s, mid and upper 20s, but with the brisk winds, it's dropped the wind chills back into the teens. Wind chills have been in the teens all day today. Not too much as far as snow goes, though, at least today, and that's because the southwest wind has really helped to shut off any of that lake effect. We are in a tweener situation right now. We are between systems. One off to the north of us, one to the south of us, and we're going to kind of ride right between the two. Now, I say that, and at the same time, I'm going to tell you we have random flurry chances that are in our forecast for tonight and for the day tomorrow. But a lot of cloud cover around. We have these scattered showers, snow showers that are in the region, but I don't think we're really going to be impacted too much by that. Here's a look at your National Design hour-by-hour forecast. There's your 20s. Wind chills still in the teens to low 20s as we head through the night tonight, but an isolated flurry chance, just kind of hit or miss as we go into the early morning hours. We'll continue that for tomorrow, but at the same time, I do think we will have some sun peaks by the afternoon and the evening hours. A random flurry chance can't be ruled out at just about any time during the day. Note, though, as we get into the evening, a little lake effect snow is a possibility tomorrow evening, depending on how everything starts to line up for us. But boy, the temperature's just not really going to be too much of a friend for us. Here's your Union Home Mortgage forecast. 34 for tomorrow, 43 on Thursday. We start with sun peaks and then end with rain. Rain continues, especially late Friday. That sets us up for rain as we go through the day on Saturday. Temperatures going to be falling, and then by early next week, we actually get a break from a lot of weather action with some sunshine creeping back into the forecast. Jay?
Yeah, next Tuesday looks beautiful. Okay, still to come on What's News. So what really went on at the famed Playboy Mansion? A new 10-hour docu-series dives into that, and we have the details. It's next in Pop Break. Well, tonight we are starting Pop Break with some sad news. This afternoon, Nick Cannon announced that his 5-month-old son, Zen, died over the weekend. Zen had been battling brain cancer.
Yeah, he had surgery to drain fluid back up, but last month things took a turn for the worse. And Cannon praised Zen's mom for being the, quote, strongest woman he's ever seen.
Hard to imagine. Now we turn it over to Kiera with the rest of your Pop Break.
Comedic actress Rebel Wilson burst into the Hollywood scene back in 2013 and hasn't looked back. But in the past year, the 41-year-old has shifted her focus to her health and has lost more than 80 pounds. Despite her weight loss success, in a recent interview, Wilson revealed that she received pushback from her team when she first began her health journey.
I got a lot of pushback from my own team, actually, here in Hollywood when I said, okay, I'm going to do this year of health. I feel like I'm really going to physically transform and change my life. And they were like, why? Why would you want to do that? Because I was earning millions of dollars being, the funny fat girl and being that person.
According to Wilson, her journey is still ongoing and she's happy with her decisions. And when it comes to Playboy, we all know about the outfits, the luxury lifestyle, and of course, Hugh Hefner. But what really goes on behind those mansion walls? A new documentary from A&E is exploring just that. Through exclusive interviews and never-before-seen footage, the 10-hour series explores the more sinister reality of the Playboy Mansion and how it impacted the world's view of power and sexuality. For Holly Madison, who dated Hefner for 7 years, the life was not as fun and glamorous as it seemed. Secrets of Playboy is set to premiere January 24th. And late-night host Jimmy Fallon is in the holiday spirit, and he's sharing the fun with all of us with his new holiday hit, It Was a Masked Christmas. The song features pop princess Ariana Grande on the hook, and Houston hottie Megan Thee Stallion brings the spice with the rap.
This year, hang that mistletoe. I'ma kiss everybody that I know. This year.
In an interview, he told the AP, I almost feel like I'm Beyonce or Drake. I've always wanted to surprise drop a single, and now it's happening. Kiera Cotton, 3 News.
Thank you, Kiera. Well, this cat is definitely worth the watch. Zuzu knows how to pitch in around the house. As Lisa told me on Twitter, she hops up on the chair, waits for the critter to push out a piece of paper, then grabs it and brings it to the floor to her owner. Now, you always think of dogs as being the ones that do fetch, but that cat, look at this, takes it, here it is. Now, Zuzu adds a few little decorations to the paper, as you could tell.
Yeah.
But
on one hand, it's cool, but on the other hand, I just don't know that I want my documents handled by Ella at my house. Not that she would ever do that. I mean, if she could, she wouldn't.
And by Ella, you're talking about
my wife's cat.
Your wife's cat.
That I share a home with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who lets you live there?
Yeah. She lives in my head. My cat does. She goes around the house when I'm not looking and turns my pictures crooked. Still to come in the second half hour of What's New. I'm not kidding. She does that. So, how are we spending and saving money over the past 2 years? It's really a pretty interesting pattern, and we're going to talk about that coming up at 5:30.
I think I'm actually going to stop cleaning at this point and just let it rip for this weekend.
Don't clean for me.
Plus, beginning today and going for the next 10 days, the Cleveland Browns are focusing on giving back to our community. We'll tell you about the annual initiative designed to make Cleveland a better place.
That's actually really cool. And you may have heard about claims that some retailers are actually tacking on a supply chain surcharge to certain purchased items. Our Verify team is on it, and we're going to tell you what they learned when What's New comes right back.
And now, live from WKYC Studios, this is What's New.
First at 5:30, we have three things you need to know. A fire destroyed $8,000 worth of donations for Toys for Tots. This happened yesterday. The fire broke out at a warehouse in Carroll County late in the afternoon. Several departments responded, but they were not able to salvage any of the toys. All of the toys would have benefited families in Tuscarawas County. There is some good news here, though. A new shipment from Toys for Tots arrived just today. You can also help donate gifts if you wish. We have all the information up. It's on our website, WKYC.com.
Well, today police released dash cam video from a deadly crash that happened over the weekend on Saturday in areas of I-77 North and Harvard Avenue. Cuyahoga Heights police attempted to stop the drivers of a stolen Ford Explorer when the drivers took off. That chase reached 105 miles per hour. Now, the driver is accused of weaving through traffic before going off the right side of the road, going through a guardrail, and then crashing into a bridge before bursting into flames. Both people in the car, 17 years old, they died at the scene.
Well, today a federal judge blocked President Joe Biden's administration from mandating federal contractors and employees get the COVID vaccine. The ruling comes 1 week after a judge in a separate lawsuit stopped the mandate from taking effect in Ohio, Kentucky, and Tennessee. It was set to take place on January the 4th. And I remember the day we had that breaking news when President Biden announced these mandates were going into place. And one of the first things we said is you could bet these are going to be met with lawsuits, various lawsuits. And that's been the case so far. And so far, those rulings have all said that this mandate is unconstitutional. So as much as we want everybody to be vaccinated, it looks more and more likely that it's going to have to be voluntary because the federal mandates, as they've been heard by the courts right now, just are not standing up.
Yeah, well, it'll be very interesting to see how all of that shakes out for sure. And I think there's just a lot of folks that are just over it at this point. You know? I
know. Yeah,
it's
COVID
been a long
fatigue hit us a long time ago.
Certainly, but you know, the news is not all bleak when it comes to that. That at least is something that, well, hopefully will help us get through. And we do have a few top talkers to discuss with you tonight. Let's change directions now. Even though we're still talking a little bit about the pandemic, we're talking pandemic finances. If there was a silver lining to 2020 and the lockdown, it was that Americans saved more money than ever before. We weren't going anywhere, we weren't doing anything, and on top of that, the government passed COVID relief legislation, suspended student loan payments, and gave a lot of folks stimulus checks and child tax credits. Well, if we saved it in 2020, we burned it up in 2021 because experts have been very closely tracking us, and all that extra savings that we had last year, they say it's going to be gone by the end of this year. Merry Christmas, everybody. And that's good in that our consumer spending has really kept the economy from completely bottoming out. But it's bad in that the safety net that we had built up is gone. Now, to give you an idea, the personal savings rate peaked at 30% during the pandemic.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
That's very good.
By this fall, it had fallen back to 7% or pre-pandemic level.
Yeah.
I think it's a very hard, back and forth for a lot of families. That money, you don't often have the opportunity to save. Sure. Expenses come up, whether they are planned expenses, surprise expenses, and you got to pay the bills, and oftentimes paying yourself is the last thing that you do, and that's really what your savings is. But boy, when you need it, that cushion is so nice.
It was interesting because the saying is save up for a rainy day.
Yeah.
Well, in this case, the rainy day forced us to save up.
True.
Because a lot of the discretionary income that Americans spend is on entertainment. And we couldn't book cruises. We couldn't take lavish vacations.
Couldn't go out to eat.
We couldn't go out to eat in most instances. So because we had nowhere to spend it, it just sat in our bank accounts. And then as soon as the world opened up again and we were able to, we started spending it in record numbers. The interesting thing is how all of this will impact inflation moving into 2022, because that's the thing that economists are really looking closely at. Is this a blip, a one-year thing, or is this going to be a long-term inflationary period? That's what we don't know yet, and we're all waiting to find out.
If it is, you can kiss those savings goodbye little by little.
I know. They'll probably dip below 7%. Well, the pandemic caused a lot of stress, and it caused it to everybody. We know about that, but they've been studying which group has been most impacted by that stress. And believe it or not, it's actually Gen Z. The 13 to 24-year-olds say the pandemic made their education, their career goals, and social lives much more difficult compared to millennials and Gen X. About 45% of Gen Zers said maintaining ties with friends was harder, and 40% said that their romantic relationships were much more difficult to maintain. Fewer Americans in older age groups reported the same difficulties, at least not to those numbers. The survey adds weight to earlier studies that reported younger Americans, especially Gen Z, are experiencing isolation, loneliness, and stress at higher levels than the other age groups.
Well, you remember last year, they kind of hit the eject button on schools, right? And kids all of a sudden had to go out and they were online. So now you don't see your friends. A lot of families were locked down. You didn't see anybody except through the Zooms and whatnot. And then the seniors, we were doing stories on the seniors. They were missing out on proms and all these things that, have always been a part of traditions. And they didn't get that. Josie's class was supposed to have a party in 5th grade, a party in 6th grade. And they haven't had it. And she's like, when are we going to have our pool party?
Yeah,
I just want to do the pool party. And my immediate, Gen X answer is, you'll survive.
Yeah, I know.
You're fine.
Well, we're products of a tougher generation ahead of us.
Right.
And so as it filters down, I think today's generation, as we've seen, is a little more sensitive to that.
Right.
And the other thing, too, and this is the thing we always have to remember, if there is a generation where fun is front and center, we all like to have fun, no matter the age.
Yep.
But really, it is that teenage, that 13 to 24 group.
It's where your memories are made.
That is the years for fun, folks. Yep. Not that you can't have fun after, and all of that stuff was getting canceled and scratched off. I can understand why they're more depressed.
How many times did you tell your kids, do it while you can?
Yeah, I know, and guess what? I had to say it so many times because they weren't paying attention.
And now, told you so, the mom's favorite line.
I always used to hear from my mom, oh, one day you're going to wish you had to get up for high school. And then I told my kids, and now they're wishing, wouldn't be so bad to be back in high school.
Someday. All right, well, this next study also focuses on Gen Zers. We promise we're not picking on you. According to Living Cozy, Cleveland is the second most affordable city to buy your first home in.
Wow.
How about that? The average first home costs $97,000 or so. The cost of living here is about 28% lower than the national average. Now, check this out. The city that came in first was Detroit. Toledo came in third. I like our chances.
It's the little Lake Erie Rust Belt that we have going on there.
Out of the top 3, which would you choose?
Well,
Cleveland would be the winner
there's no
in
doubt.
my book.
I mean, that's simple. I'm surprised it's 28% lower than the national average. I knew, because I was in the Northeast for 16 years prior to moving home. And the first thing I noticed when I moved home is, I think that they're charging the same for everything as they were when I left 16 years ago. It really was stunning how the cost of living was so much less than it was in the Northeast.
Cost of living is one factor. We have great health care. That is a big part of it. We've got job opportunities. There's just so much going on in Northeast Ohio, and I feel like we just continue to grow. So
I think, and we've talked about this on the program a time or two, I think that as we're moving more towards more and more people being able to work from home or wherever they want, why not Cleveland?
Right.
Why not Cleveland? Let's just start with the affordability factor.
Yeah.
But if you're a sports fan, you got the 3 major pro sports teams.
You got a lot to do.
There's so much to do here. We have great summers. We have all 4 seasons. That sounds like a commercial for Cleveland.
And we're not Detroit. Every year around this time, the Browns enter their 10 Days of Giving program. I'm going to get emails on that one. The initiative kicked off today, and we'll tell you what they are doing.
The city of Detroit on line 1 for you, Bets.
Yeah, I know. It's actually not that bad.
No. Plus, is it true that some retailers have started tacking on something called a supply chain surcharge to consumers? Our Verify team looked into that story, and we're going to find out what they learned when What's New comes right back.
We are loving on light displays here at WKYC, and check out this display in Hudson. And the homeowners got pretty techie. They synced the lights to different Christmas carols, and you can view the lights on display on Abbyshire Drive in Hudson.
And we want to see more holiday lights, so share them with us. You can do that by going to the WKYC app, click on that Near Me feature that you'll see, and upload your pictures or your video. And we'll be sharing pictures and videos of your lights leading up to Christmas.
I always love when we get like super windy conditions and drive around and see people's, like, you know, the lawn, the blow up things.
Yeah.
And what happens to them.
They're just down the street.
It's so mean, but it's so fun to watch because, you know, like the snowmen or Santa Claus or whatever in the front yard, like with the wind gusts. Whoa, it's going to go this time. It's kind of fun. Anyway, nerds unite. Okay, temps in the 20s out there right now. It is pretty chilly, friends. We have wind chills that are in the teens. The winds are backing off, but the temperatures aren't warming up yet. We have warmer temperatures that are going to be coming in as we head through the next several days. It's clear on the radar scope right now. Snow mode not showing any snow falling. And over the next few hours here in the CLE and points beyond, we are just mostly cloudy. So it has been kind of a nice looking afternoon by winter standards, but definitely not nice feeling with those 20s. We're staying steady, even dropping a couple of degrees as we head into the early morning hours. Big picture shows that we have a lot that is happening across the country. Most of the energy has been focused in the southeastern U.S., the Tennessee Valley. That is where a storm system is going to begin to develop and move up the East Coast. There's also a little storm system that's trying to sweep its way through the Great Lakes region, but it's just not holding together very well. So a lot of the focus remains on the snow that is off to the south of us, and that just so happens to be riding on the periphery of the cold air that we have. So in your National Design Mart big picture forecast, you can see that the cold air does begin to retreat as that storm system fires up and moves off to the East Coast. You notice there was nothing, and then all of a sudden it all starts to come together. When the ingredients are there, it all happens so nice. But then that cold air, as I mentioned, is retreating. So warmer air is going to start to come in. Anytime you have a shifting of air masses, you will have some kind of a storm system that blows up in between. In this case, it's going to be rain that starts to move in, specifically later Thursday. We'll have another round of rain that starts to move in later Friday. And then look at what begins to develop. We have a huge swath of snow in the west, a big swath of rain in the south. And what's going to happen here? Well, we love to look at the temperature contours here. You know, I love to geek out on this. When you get the cold air moving south in the western part of the country, unless all of the country is going to go cold, which we've had before, that was the super freeze last year in Texas, we'll actually start to see the warming trend going in the east. And that begins to send the storm track farther north too. So Friday into Saturday, the storm track takes that storm north. That's going to draw in huge amounts of moisture for us. It's also going to bring in the heat. But then that cold air is going to catch up to us eventually, and we will get much colder by the time we hit late next weekend. So 34 for your day tomorrow. A few random flurries hanging around, otherwise cloudy skies. Here's your Union Home Mortgage forecast. Note that the temperatures are going to be going up till we get to Saturday. That's when that storm system goes north of us. Then the temperatures fall. And even though we're cooler Sunday and into next week, Jay, we're going to be seeing some sunshine.
That's what we like. Thank you very much, Bets. Well, we have a bit of a sports update for you now. We now know the 4 finalists for the 2021 Heisman Trophy. And there is a Buckeye in the mix. No real surprise here because he played so well this year. Ohio State quarterback C.J. Stroud is among the finalists. Last week, Stroud was named the Big Ten Conference's Offensive Player of the Year. He was named the conference's Quarterback of the Year. And, of course, he was named the Freshman of the Year. It's the first time in the history of the Big Ten that one player nailed all 3 of those awards in the same season. Michigan defensive end Aiden Hutchinson is also in that Final Four for the Heisman. Pitt quarterback Kenny Pickett is in there, and Alabama quarterback Bryce Young will also make the trip to New York. Well, now to pro football. Your Cleveland Browns kick off their annual 10 Days of Giving today. It runs from today through December 16th. Browns players, coaches, and staff will all participate in special community events. You're looking at just some of the images from past years, but some of today's events include visiting John F. Kennedy Elementary School in Maple Heights. A big part of their initiative is a commitment to education and youth football. They'll also attend the Deck the House event at Providence House. Now, I think that's great. You know, they are some of our most recognizable members of our community, and we love it. When we see them out to help make our community a better place, it's a lot easier for us to say, hey, I need to get on that train. I need to help out too.
And I think it behooves them to become a part of the community. And I think that's the one thing that really differentiates some of the players from other players. I'm not naming names or anything. But when you actually become a part of the community and you're invested in that community, that investment is going to pay off for you. So there is a little bit of that. On top of the fact that some of these guys are just really awesome guys.
Yeah, they want to help.
Who want to help and who want to leverage their platform to be able to give a voice to those who either don't have a voice or need a louder voice.
Yeah, and on behalf of all of us here at Channel 3, we want to say to the players on the Browns and their whole organization, thank you for making your community a better place. Because what they'll do over the next 10 days will leave a footprint. I promise you that.
Yep. Well, we've heard about all the issues with the supply chain. Yes, but we're hearing now that there are certain retailers who may be adding on a special charge because of it. Is this really happening? And if so, who's doing it? We'll have a verify on it next.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
And we also have a very special Show Us Something Good today. We honor an Olmsted Falls woman who proves that age is just a number.
Well, the cost of just about everything has increased since the start of the pandemic. And now it appears several companies, including Cleveland's own Sherwin-Williams, are adding extra charges. Josh Sidorowitz with our sister station in Tampa verifies if the supply chain surcharge is a real thing.
People are posting pictures of receipts online like this, showing a supply chain surcharge added. So, is this really happening? And if so, who's charging it? Let's verify. Here are some of the companies we reached out to for this. And Sechkin Ozkul, the director of the University of South Florida's Supply Chain Innovation Lab, is also one of our sources.
We never had such a big disruption before to our supply chain.
Oscool says what's happening now started during the pandemic. Quick, drastic changes in demand over the past 2 years have had ripple effects up the supply chain that only get more dramatic the higher you go and make it that much harder to get supply in sync, known as the bullwhip effect. It's why he says we're seeing backlogged ports. It's all the goods that had been held up now finally ready all at once. And Oscool says it's all driving up costs, and some companies are temporarily passing it on to you and me.
The surcharge is just another way of saying we are incurring additional costs and somebody needs to pay for it, and sorry, we're not going to pay for it.
Notices like this now appear outside of Sherwin-Williams stores. The CEO of the nation's largest paint company said their surcharge would stick around through the end of the year. And we could verify that other companies are doing the same, like Harley-Davidson. And it's not just goods. FedEx added a fuel surcharge to deliveries at the beginning of November. So we can verify the supply chain surcharge is a real thing. And yes, some companies are doing it. So you're going to want to check your receipts.
All right, so you're probably asking, why not just increase the price? Well, the expert you just heard from says it might be because it's a temporary charge until that supply chain recovers.
Next in our Show Us Something Good, it's rare when someone moves into a senior living facility, then calls it home for more than 30 years. But it's happened right here in Northeast Ohio, and it's our Show Us Something Good coming up next.
Things. Hey Al, testing 1 2 3 4, testing 1 2 3 4. Donate, we have all the information.
Got you, yes. Oh my gosh, I don't blame you. It looks amazing. Mic check, the Northeastern Ohio Fire Prevention Association. Thank you.
Mic check, Brandon's mic. We're talking about Newburgh Heights, where a number of accidents have happened, but none quite like this one after a police chase.
And not just any birthday, a very special birthday. Today's Show Us Something Good comes from Olmsted Falls. Mary Dixon, seen there, celebrating 100 years on this earth today. She lives at the Renaissance Retirement Campus, where she was the first resident, Betsy, to move in back in 1989. Wow. This afternoon, workers and residents gathered safely to celebrate. Mary, all of us at 3 News are wishing you a very happy 100th birthday. Betsy, she looks great.
Mary moved in, and I was like a freshman in high school.
That's why I said it. Then going into the commercial
Wow.
break, when you move into a senior center, you don't think you'll be there 30 plus years. But Mary knows the place like the back of her hand.
Pick a good one.
That's exactly right. Mary, happy birthday. Thanks so much for watching What's New. We're back tomorrow at 5, and we hope you join us.
What matters most with Russ starts right now.
Now it's 6. Crash tragedy.
It just went from bad to worse at that time.